What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I am T. I am your host. It's a little bit windy today and I'm trying to do stuff outside. I've got a bunch of stuff I really need to do, but I'm going to start with this. Of course, this is my tow rig, my 2007 Dodge Ram 2500 with a 6.7 liter cumminsturbodiesel. It's a little bit of a maintenance day and I've got some upgrades I'm going to be doing as well. On my agenda today, I've got to change the fuel filter. That's down in there. Depending on how you go about it, sometimes it's best to take the tire off and get in through the inner fender business here, and actually some guys take this out. I am going to crawl under this thing and see if I can remember how I did it the last time. And then I've got a crankcase vent filter. We've got to take this off, and actually we have to take the valve cover off as part of the process of the other thing I'm doing. So I figured while I'm in there, it's been about 50,000 miles on that filter, so maybe it's time. But the main thing that I've been trying to do is do the grid heater update. And basically as part of that, I'm replacing this intake horn. The grid heater is getting replaced. We're doing that with the upgraded Banks Monster Ram stuff. So I don't know if I really am trying to make a how-to video here. There's plenty of good videos on doing the grid heater update, but we'll take you along to some extent. We'll also show you the filter, the crankcase filter, and the fuel filter as well. And if we get done with this today, what I really want to do is take Darlene for a drive. Yeah, Darlene's still here. Of course, you see the green machine back there. My 1971 Plymouth Duster. It looks like it's a little hiked up in the front because it is. I pulled the engine, transmission, all out of it right now. Of course, you know the leak down was not favorable, so we're going to be tearing the engine apart. But I've got some plans to get this car back on the road sooner. On the track, I mean. The dart's in the garage. Well, that's another video. We'll take you along for that. There's going to be some cross-mogenization going on. Let's get started on this job. Not sure how well you can see right here where we're at. This unit that my finger is on is the fuel filter. It has an electrical connection which I have removed. There's a press piece on the end here, and then you can slide it off. Next, we need to hook up a hose to this little nozzle end here. Once I get that in, I can turn that and basically drain the filter. Then I'll remove the housing itself. Feels like it's taking forever for the filter to drain, so I'm back up top for a minute. Once the filter is drained sufficiently, to remove the housing, there's a square end on it, and this is a 3/8 drive. The actual one on the filter housing is a half. So I'll get a 1/2-inch drive ratchet and an extension up in there and crank that thing out. Next step up top though, removing the engine cover here, and then the valve cover comes off. There's a bracket on the EGR crossover tube here that is mounted to the engine at this point. That's going to come off. Valve cover bolts are out. Here's that filter. This is the crankcase vent filter. Got a brand new one here. Set that down where it goes. And then for the Banks kit, this little bracket's coming off. Once we get that off, we can put the valve cover back on and it stays on. And the O-ring strategically placed, and then the oil cap. And then at this point now we're starting to remove things to make room to work. Pulling wiring harnesses away, unbolting brackets, the dipstick unbolts, electrical connectors. And then at this point, this big piece is being moved out of the way to help create some room, which is good. Well, we have the intake horn out, looking down into the grid heater. It's definitely crusty, but there's nothing blocked, no blocked off passages or anything like that. This gasket obviously done for. So down here on the boost tube, I've got a rag covering it. They recommend you throw the clamp back over it to help keep it in place. And then for the time being, I'm going to cover this back up. So I think we're about to get into fuel injector lines and things like that. Pretty much everything's out of the way to the fuel line system. I've got to loosen the banjo bolt here. I've got to loosen this line here. So I got to move this out of the way. Man, my knees are already shot. I need to get a truck creeper. Roll that out of the way, tighten this side back up so it doesn't try to get in. Oh, and by the way, I got the fuel filter in. It was reasonably easy to get from the top, but I had a pain getting the 1/2-inch drive socket end in it. So I cheated and did what they said not to do and used an oil filter wrench. That could go badly for you. Well, I think this is the next step that everybody's so curious about. And by the way, that last fuel rail is a pain in everything that you could ever have a pain in. Even number 5 is pretty much a pain. Let's lift up the grid heater plate. This is the thing that everybody's worried about right there. Well, in a way that sucks because that's in great shape. It's really solid. I'm not worried about that at all. But stuff is caked in here. Yeah, I wonder if that's why I have a check engine light for grid heater efficiency or something like that. But we're in here, so it's getting changed. It's not necessarily if, but more when. I do have 150,000 miles on this truck, and this doesn't show any signs at all of being a problem. When it's really cold, I do tend to plug in, which helps. And it hasn't been very cold here in Utah for a while. All right, I am as deep in as I am going to go. Right now we're in the process of doing some cleaning here on the grid heater surface. And yeah, number 6, fuel rail, line, piece, whatever, sucks. So next on the agenda, finish cleaning, and then I've got to go through and torque each of these inserts where the fuel injector line plugs in. These get torqued to 41 foot-pounds, but once we've got this clean, we'll go ahead and get the grid heater plate installed. We've transferred over the sensor, and I tried to get that clean. It didn't quite get as clean as I wanted, but I think the more important part is down here, the sensor side. After I get this piece on, then we'll install the fuel rail. The fuel rail installed, fuel lines all connected. Yeah, some of that sucked. Most of the front, not so bad. Just those back two, really. There's probably some tricks to it that those of you that have done a bunch of these or a techs or whatever would know. The video was good that I watched. Banks has a video on this. It's very good, very detailed, and that's the main reason I've been able to accomplish this. We interrupt this work to talk to a cat. What's up, Scout? Hey, buddy. Probably got 6 hours into this thing so far, and I'm, maybe halfway back together. So a couple more hours. The back together seems to go a little quicker, at least especially to this point. You get the fuel injector stuff dealt with, you're in a good spot. I did take a break for a little bit. Went to go celebrate one of my boys' birthday. Happy birthday, buddy. Anyway, next on the list, hook up some electrical connectors. I think we got to be getting close to putting that ram horn manifold on. Little side-by-side comparison. You see the Banks Monster Ram actually sits up a little higher. So there should potentially be a little bit of a power gain. We do have a few things to swap over. Of course, the EGR valve. We'll clean that out as well before we put it in. This is where the new grid heater actually goes. Of course, the EGR valve, boom, right there. And then the throttle body. I think that's the mass airflow sensor. Yeah, I think that'll move a little bit more air. Well, it sucks putting old parts on new stuff, but we've got everything transferred. Well, that's what a completed Banks Monster Ram grid heater swap out kit looks like. I'm going to prime the fuel filter. On these trucks, you need to cycle the key to the run position several times. Depends on who you ask, 4 to 7 or so times. And then we're going to let it run and check for leaks. I hope there are no leaks. So of course, this is going to be a little bit more than, say, the average fuel filter replacement, since we did have all the injector tubes off. So it might take a couple of cycles. There we go. Engine's running. We appear to be dry at the fuel filter. One little splotch right down there on the third one back. I see a little liquid, so I'm going to check on that right there. But we're back together and it's running. That means I didn't screw it up too bad. This was a little bit of an in-depth job, more than I'm used to doing on the newer stuff. But if I can do it, most people can. All in all, the Spanx Monster Ram was a really good kit. I think there were a couple of sockets or wrenches that could have been included in the master list. But other than that, I have no complaints. Their video was really well done. I do have a coolant leak somewhere down here that I can't quite find. That'll be another day's problem. I've already murdered a weekend on this job. Looking back at the old stuff that came off of it, was I in danger of losing that little plug, that little nut from the grid heater? I would say I wasn't. I've got 150,000 miles on this truck. Obviously the failure varies. It's probably worse on trucks that spend more time in colder climates. Tough to say. I guess I'm glad I did it, just for that peace of mind, but they sell a lot of these based on fear. If that nut breaks, falls off, gets inside the engine, it'll take it out. That's bad. What, 20, 30 grand for a replacement? Yeah, I can't do that. The truck would probably get parted out if that ever happened. But now I shouldn't have to worry about it. Well, the good news is that she's driving. Feels good. The bad news is there's still a little bit of a leak in that fuel rail, where one of the lines to the cylinder comes out of it. Best guess at this point is that I over-tightened it. So I don't know if I can just replace that line or if I'm gonna have to put a fuel rail on it. But we'll look into that. In the meantime, I'm driving it. What are you gonna do? We'll see how bad the leak is after a drive. We'll take a peek at it. It didn't seem like a gusher, but there's definitely some fuel there. And honestly, where I can see fuel, it might be more than one. So, more to dig into. She seems crispier. It definitely feels like helped with throttle response, and I think some of that is improvement on turbo lag. Sounds good, feels good. Now I just gotta fix the fuel leak. And if you didn't know, we are cruising around right now in Darlene. Hey, buddy. This old girl's clunky. Definitely something going clunk, clunk, clunk with the wheel speed. Speeds up, slows down with the rotation of the wheel. Yeah, she needs a few things. The steering's probably a little bit worn. Speed limit thing, he told me I was doing 25. I was doing 20 according to this speedometer. Now we gotta wait for the ducks to cross the street. Come on, buddies. There you go. Unsafe at any speed. She's in need of a little bit though. She's not highway ready. Man, everything clanks and clacks and rattles and bumps and all that stuff. It needs suspension all the way around. It really needs tires all the way around. These tires, the ones that match, well, it's all problematic. Darlene needs a lot. And she is on the chopping block. My buddy wants her back, but I guess he's not ready for it yet. He has a space issue like a lot of us. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Hopefully you learned a little bit, maybe even a few things about what not to do on replacing the grid heater and the Monster Ram intake horn. That was fun. I used the quotations when I say fun. Who knows, it'll probably all have to come back apart and I get to put a new fuel rail and stuff on it. 150,000 miles. She's just getting broke in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.